Nine Star is very focused on customer and member care, focused on making sure that however we communicate with the member and customer is how they want to communicate.
You know, sometimes we're the one person that they speak to in a day, and you want that conversation.
Now let's meet the starting lineup of both teams, beginning with the visiting team from Shenandoah. Wearing number 5.
As we dwindle down the regular season of the IHSAA basketball campaign, the next stop here on 9 Star TV takes us back to Pendleton Heights, where the Arabians get set to take on the Shenandoah Raiders. Just one ball game remains on either side. Brendan King with Jim Leisure, our terrific 9 Star TV crew. Jim, how it works, of course, around here, everybody gets in the tournament. It's the last time, really, you can put your fingerprint on the floor to get set for some intense action here in Indiana.
Yeah, without question. If you were looking at the graphic there at home, you saw that this season has not turned out the way either coach would have wanted it to be. Shenandoah comes in at 9-11, and Pendleton Heights comes in at 6-15. So, again, you've got 2 games to kind of start figuring out. You'll find out who you play Sunday. Sunday night is the draw. You'll find out who you're going to play in the sectional. But you can at least start saying, hey, listen, if we have any chance to win our sectional, we have to beat Team A. So let's go ahead and start working on their sets, their offense, their press, see if we can't gain a little bit of an advantage.
Here at home for Pendleton Heights, a record of 6-15, winless in conference. But again, the story for them, Josiah Guston, 12 points a game, 6'7", still just a junior, Jim. See what he's got tonight. Yeah,
and Josiah, we've seen him several times on 9 Star TV down through the years, and he's had some monster games and some other games when, he's one of those kids. A couple of years ago they had the Dunham kid that could shoot from outside, and, so they couldn't really double team Josiah. So hopefully tonight he's the tallest kid on the floor for either team. He'll be able to break out.
Underway, Pendleton Heights in the white and green, Shenandoah in the navy and gold. Your referees, Kiente Bryson, Chris Bryson, and Joe Clayton. Brendan King with Jim Leisure, our great 9 Star TV crew. Again, just one more ball game in the regular season for both of these ball clubs.
Shenandoah just pretty much 2-3 zone, the little alley-oop to Guston.
Josiah Guston averages 12 a game. He's out to a 2-point start. And that's what you can do, Jim, when you're 6'7", tallest player on the floor.
Yeah, and then they're going to come out. I like the fact that Guston's on top of this press, too, because he's so long. He creates difficult passing lanes. As Shenandoah finally does get it across the timeline.
Shenandoah has won 4 of their last 5 games. Carson Brookbank rings home a pair. Brookbank was the leading scorer for most of this season for Shenandoah. Before that was overtaken by A.J. Demick. Demick has been terrific. He's 22 in Navy. And then Brookbank again. He's their big body down low, Jim.
Yeah, Brookbank, one of only 2 seniors on this Shenandoah ball club. Again, if you're a Shenandoah fan, you remember a couple years back they were loaded with seniors, but he was one of those sophomores that did get a lot of playing time on that team.
From the corner, a 3 missed by Evan Mozingo. Mozingo averages double-digit point totals. You always feel like at Pendleton Heights there's a pure sharpshooter. Well, Mozingo, he's been able to provide that spark this year for the Arabians.
He does a nice job, shoots 44% behind the arc. Now, obviously, that one was off the mark, but he's certainly one guy that if you give him, I'll tell you, you give him that look, and again, he'll hit it.
Of note, Cannon Cook, 2 in white, who you see to the right of your screen. He's starting tonight. Dontrez Braxton, normally their starting point guard. He was taking warm-up, Jim, not in the starting 5.
Yeah, he's such a really nice player and really is their best ball handler. So we'll see if he gets in. Again, he still may be nursing that injury. He's dressed, but I'm sure Coach Ballard does not want to get him re-injured just right before the sectional.
Cannon Case as well, 10 in Navy, starting for Shenandoah. He's their tallest player on the floor at 6'5", as that's out of bounds. maybe, Jim, you would think Cannon Case, he's only played in 8 games this year, but he does have that more lengthier body. Maybe that's to combat a guy like Josiah Gustin.
Yeah, the last game that we did with Shenandoah, it was against Lapel. Lapel had a huge height advantage. Case did play a lot in that ball game.
A little runner from the paint is missed by Mozingo. Shenandoah gets a stop. They're down by 2 as here's A.J. Demick. Just a junior. Demick again, the team's scoring leader, averaging nearly 10 a game. Zane Mitchell, one of the freshmen in the starting lineup for Shenandoah. He's got the ball here. Has to give it up to the edge for Brookbank.
Pendleton, a little bit of a matchup zone there. I'm trying to see if it's a 1-2-2 or just they're clearly not man, though. They're just a kind of a matchup zone.
Almost looks like a 1-3-1 at times.
At times it does, and then it kind of looks like a 1-2-2. So I'm just going to say matchup because that kind of solves everything.
Case missed the triple from the corner. Rebound went to Jarrett Hellman. Another shot is missed. Gustin lost the ball at the baseline. Back to the Raiders. Good environment tonight from Pendleton Heights. Chilly evening outside, but many packing the gym on a Friday night.
Yeah, Indiana high school basketball, right? When it's as cold as it is today, what else are you going to do?
Brookbank looking for the running Hellman. You know, Shenandoah, they played young all season under their head coach, Rick Ellsworth. Mentioned Mitchell, a freshman, starting as his helmet. Aiden Coffey has played a big role off the bench. But Johnny Howard, Jim, who was injured earlier on in the year, Demick a 3, ringed away, another rebound back to Hellman. This is the freshman, blocked away by Josiah Gustin. But Johnny Howard, we'll see what kind of role he plays. If so, they could have 4 freshmen on the floor at a time. Yeah,
that was the 48th block on the season by Gustin, so he's going to let you know he's in there.
Again, the tallest player on the floor. He does have the option to shoot the 3, a shot at 32%. Shenandoah, though, answers with the block. That courtesy of Cannon Case. Demick calling for it in the corner. Another offensive rebound, Jim, for Shenandoah.
Well, that's a good deal. I mean, when you can keep possessions alive, get extra chances. I mean, I would think Shenandoah's probably the underdog a little bit between these two teams, despite the record. You know, they are the 2-A team or the 2A team. You know, if you're going to win, you're going to need extra possessions, and there's another block by Gustin.
Gustin that time swatted Demick. Demick, the much smaller player, but he does have a pretty lethal shot. He has missed both of those 3s from the corner so far in this first quarter. Still just 6 points combined between these two. A couple solid defensive possessions over the last couple minutes.
Shenandoah still in that 2-3.
Gustin with Zane Mitchell, the freshman, on him. And Demick was able to elbow it forward. A.J. Demick. And the follow went to Jarrett Hellman.
I have him for 5 rebounds already. And obviously a big offensive board and a put back there.
Well, that's one way to earn playing time as a freshman, no?
No doubt about it.
Offensive rebounds have been the big factor for Shenandoah. That time slicing into the lane and scoring, Aaron Cookston. Pendleton Heights, the much older team, even though it's kind of funny to say they're the older team, but they don't have a senior.
Right.
If that's possible.
Well, actually get a little bit of a break for Shenandoah.
And here's Dontrez Braxton checking in, as well as Isaac Wilson, 3 and 4 in white into the game. And you know, Jim, you mentioned how lethal Dontrez Braxton can be, the junior with some pretty good speed on the floor. If he's coming off the bench, that could add problems for Shenandoah.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to keep an eye on him just to see whether or not he's okay, to make sure that he's not favoring the ankle. Again, you want to be smart with him. You want to get him some playing time. You want to get him back into playing shape as far as lung capacity, but you certainly, again, don't want to get him hurt a couple weeks before the sectional.
Pendleton still in that zone. Having a hard time of breaking it from the perimeter, though. I mean, that's airtight inside by the Arabians.
Yeah, you got it. Right now it looks like Shenandoah's, they're catching the basketball. Right there, he caught it, he shot it. He had a plan. Now, the plan didn't work out very good because he shot an air ball, but you got to have a plan when you catch it.
Soon section for Pendleton Heights, making it known. That shot went short. Isaac Wilson drives baseline, another turnover. It's to Demick. Breaking away, he's got Gustin right behind him. Gustin trying to swat it. Offensive rebound, put back for Cannon Case. Early on, Jim, the size of Cannon Case down low has really matched what Gustin brings.
Yeah, Gustin did not get the block. He clearly got basically the altar He forced that shot to go away. Now, again, Demick has 2 steals. He comes into the ballgame leading Shenandoah with 28, so he's up to 30. He's the guy that's going to break on the pass. He's going to try to spy the passing lane, break early, and knock it loose. He's done it twice tonight.
Tie game at 6 here with 2 to go in the first quarter. Gustin again, they just float it up, and he went off glass.
Tough to defend that. Again, the only you can do maybe is put Case in front of him.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. That's not the matchup down low.
Right.
Spent a couple guards on Gustin. Not sure if that's just been the pure mismatch as Demick misses another 3.
Another rebound.
The Arabians really are getting a break because Demick has shot it beautifully over the last couple of weeks. And he took advantage of all the injuries that Shenandoah was facing. By the way, Kenyon Troxell checks in. Troxell, one of the 2 seniors for Shenandoah. A couple of weeks ago here on 9 Star TV, we saw Kenyon Troxell become a star against Eastern Hancock. And now he gets Josiah Gustin.
Yeah, you always get, you hear that phrase, breakout game. Well, that was his breakout game. I think he went in that game averaging about 4.
Yep.
Came out with 12 and just was everywhere. Rebounds, deflections, steals.
Well, he didn't even have a point until the second half. Zane Mitchell misses the runner. Rebound back to Gustin. Kenyon Troxell, he plays with a lot of energy. Now he has to stop Gustin at the free throw line. Mozingo has missed a couple shots in the quarter. Can't ring one home. Rebound by Troxell, and Shenandoah with 40 seconds. They could potentially keep this and go for the tie or the lead to end the first quarter.
Yeah, we'll see as Hellman just turned around and looked at the coach like, hey, what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want us to do?
Well, Rick Ellsworth gave an answer. Shenandoah really taking their time, but Pendleton Heights is pushing the pace, trying to grab a turnover.
Well, again, Pendleton Heights is probably thinking, look, if we're going to beat New Palestine, Greenfield, Anderson, Muncie, all these teams that have 16 wins, we're going to have to up the defensive pressure. So win this game or not, we got to up the defensive pressure.
They went with about 14 seconds and missed. Now it's Gustin. Coast to coast, Gustin jams it home. Last second at the buzzer, A.J. Demick. That's one way to end the first quarter.
Well, that's the only answer to a really big dunk. You know what? You can dunk it. You're like 4 inches from the rim. Watch this. I'm going to shoot it from like 90 feet.
We got 3 more quarters of this thing. Pendleton Heights, Shenandoah. Hope you can come back next. 9 Star TV.
9 Star is very focused on customer and member care, focused on making sure that however we communicate with the member and customer is how they want to communicate.
Sometimes we're the one person that they speak to in a day, and you want that conversation to be happy and pleasant.
As a nonprofit co-op, we're focused on providing the best service we can for our members.
9 Star is a different kind of company, and the difference is you.
What an exclamation point, and make it 2 to end the first quarter. 10-9, Pendleton Heights on top. But Shenandoah on a more than half-court 3 by A.J. Demick is within a penny. Check this thing out, Jim.
Yeah, coming right in your living room there, you see Gustin, nice dunk, hangs on the rim, little exclamation point, like, there you go. What do you think of that, Shenandoah? And Demick says, well, I got this for you. What do you think of that? And he drains it. We were talking between the break there. Years ago, Larry Bird talked about the dunk contest in the NBA. He said, you know what? You could get a high jumper in track. Doesn't even know how to play basketball. He'd be a great dunker. But it takes a man to shoot him from 24 feet. And in Demick's case, he shot it from about 60.
What I really like from that replay, Carson Brookbank, the senior, one of the 2 seniors on the floor for Shenandoah, Zane Mitchell bangs it in. Gustin dunks that home. It could be very easy for Shenandoah to feel bad about themselves or end the quarter. Carson Brookbank pointed at A.J. Demick and said, get it off.
Let's go. Yeah, I like that too, and you're exactly right. Real easy to kind of hang your head and woe is me. But you know what? On the other hand, get the ball, do your job, get back to work.
There is a large Shenandoah contingent on hand. Same case for Pendleton Heights. You can tell it's about to be tournament time. There's that feeling in the air, urgency. To the corner, and Pendleton Heights tries a 3. That one missed by Caden Sims. They get the offensive rebound, though. That was one of the big factors for Shenandoah, Jim, of that first quarter, just how dominant they were on the offensive glass.
Well, we talked about it. Again, it keeps possessions alive.
Josiah Gustin from his office, right under the basket. That's where he gets a majority of his stuff done.
Well, we talked about it in pregame, really, about how he should have a big night with the lack of height that Shenandoah can provide defensively, and he's already kind of proving us to be right there.
Hellman and Mitchell are the freshmen on the floor. That's stolen away. It's Braxton matching with Brookbank, and Brookbank, he fouled Braxton, and in good sportsmanship went to go help him up. It's a couple big bodies going against each other running the floor.
And that's Dontrez Braxton there. Just a great job, again, of anticipating the pass. And he's going to go down and try to finish. And honestly, Brookbank just says, you know what, let's see if you can shoot free throws. That was not a horribly dirty foul, but it was clearly somewhat intentional. He was not going to let him get that shot off.
Braxton has been pretty good from the line at 73% this year. Hagen Tomlinson will check onto the floor for Shenandoah, replacing Kenyon Troxel. One more for Dontrez Braxton and what has been a highly competitive beginning of the first half. Here comes that full court press now look from Pendleton Heights. They were running that early.
Well, if you're Coach Ballard, you got the lapel film. You saw how much Shenandoah struggled to get the ball at the floor. And the referee just finally had enough of that. He was kind of riding him a little bit.
Foul will go on Caden Sims. Evan Mozingo's back in for Pendleton Heights. Again, a lethal three-point shooter, nearly 45%, but Shenandoah has also done a really solid job of defending the three-point line. So defense early, certainly a factor.
And you saw there on the replay, too, he was doing more than just riding him. He actually hooked his arm, too. I didn't get that angle, but the referee who made the call did have the same angle that the camera had. And it's really easy and good call.
Shenandoah's got the ball. This is Tomlinson. Brookbank drives, has to pull up. Sims back for Brookbank, and then Brookbank was hand-checked by Cookston. Three-point game here in the second quarter.
Call an illegal screen here.
Mm-hmm. That'll go on Zane Mitchell.
Now, it's funny because they didn't call a lot of fouls in the first quarter. It was about 2 minutes to go in the first quarter, and I noticed there had only been one foul called, and now here we are, 2 minutes into the second, and we've had 3 or 4, it seems like.
Well, that made for the very quick-moving first quarter, especially. And it took about 12 or 13 minutes. Mozingo, marauded at the baseline, that is.
Yeah, you got to be careful you don't get yourself trapped and get yourself in a bad spot.
Braxton around the perimeter. Isaac Wilson and Dontrez Braxton, the guard pairing right now for Pendleton Heights. They exchange here. Braxton grabs a screen at the elbow, still weighing his options. And another one. A legal screen on both ends. So they are definitely adding up, Jim.
That is Gustin's first. When you are the biggest kid on the floor, you got to be careful not to get into foul trouble. He's not. Obviously, he's only got one. But
well, same case could be said for about 2 hours northwest of here.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And what Zach Eady does at Purdue. Tomlinson crashes the lane and gets fouled. Whistles are pretty evident here in the second quarter. And teams are going to get free throw tested. Shenandoah only about 64% as a team. That may be key down the stretch.
No doubt about it. That's just not very good.
Tomlinson at the line, rings one home. And Tomlinson averaged right around as the team does when it comes to the charity stripe.
No big, huge score for Shenandoah. They got one kid that averages 9 in Demick, and I got a whole bunch of them that average about 5 or 6, so it adds up pretty quick.
Well, Tomlinson able to float a couple home. It's back to a 1-point game here in the second quarter, and Demick will check in at the next availability for Shenandoah. Braxton very meticulous with how he runs the point. Calm, slow, never rushed. And Wilson is the beneficiary of a Braxton assist.
Well, that's what he brings, and that's what Pendleton didn't have earlier in the year against Greenfield when Greenfield just literally mauled them. I mean, they couldn't bring the ball up the floor. They didn't even run the offense. They need him to be healthy.
Bouncer into the post. Here comes the double team. It's a steal by Wilson. He hit the three a moment ago. Now going coast to coast. The pass off. And a traveling call on Reese Kaplinger. And Demick checks back in. Of course, AJ had the big moment at the end of the first quarter, hitting that three-quarter shot. As you get a look at the travel.
Yeah, he definitely brought the foot. Now, again, you could argue if you're a Pendleton fan that maybe he got bumped from behind, and that's why he took the extra step.
They had a 2-on-1 momentarily. Now the drop-off pass to the elbow and a traveling call. That was interesting to him. They had a 2-on-1 going the other way and then stopped the basketball.
Yeah, and that traveling call was awfully late. I thought it was there. I thought it was a travel, and I thought they weren't going to call it, and it seemed like about 3 seconds later they did.
That gives Pendleton the ball back, and they already lead by 4. This is about as extended as any lead has been so far tonight. Wilson had to go flying for that pass. Kaplinger picked up his dribble, and now it's Braxton for Gustin. Top of the key, 3 is pure. Josiah Gustin doesn't shoot a lot of those, but still converts 32% from deep.
Yeah, if there's a college coach here watching tonight, he's seeing the good Josiah, because Josiah has shown he can do it from the inside, the outside, and on the defensive end.
It's interesting. A.J. Demick has missed all of his corner threes, but he hit that long one to end the first. 7-point lead is Pendleton's biggest so far, and Brookbank bumped Gustin. That's a tough task. Karsten Brookbank, who is 6 foot, he's defending a guy in Josiah Gustin, who's 6'7" inches taller. Tough assignment for anybody on the Shenandoah side.
No doubt about it. That last possession, I thought Pendleton did a really good job with spacing and ball movement. Again, catch it, get rid of it.
Braxton fired it underneath. Now Kaplinger faked a shot, driving, and he's going to get helped with a call.
It's going to be Tomlinson.
It's been a wildly different first and second quarter.
Yeah.
Really has.
Yeah, absolutely. Tale of two cities.
And a timeout on the floor. 20-13, Pendleton Heights with under 3 to go. What do you think, Jim?
Well, right now I like the pace of the game. Even though the fouls are starting to pile up a little bit, I like the fact that both teams have tried to speed it up, and I think that's why the fouls have increased, because earlier in the ball game, everyone was really content to work the half-court offense, nice and slow. If it wasn't there, kick it out, start over. Here they're kind of pressing each other a little bit more in terms of forcing the action. Now, it has not worked in Shenandoah's favor, but if you're Coach Ballard, you got to like the result.
Adam Ballard giving the directions to his crew. Wiping something off the jersey of Dontrez Braxton. I'm not sure if that's some blood or what, but
yeah, again, in the old days, it wasn't uncommon to see guys with maybe a little blood on their shirt, bloody nose or whatever. But nowadays, obviously, with the health issues that bloodborne pathogens present, you got to be very sure that you get all that stuff off. A lot of teams will travel with 2 or 3 extra shirts just in case a kid has to change shirts.
And out of the timeout, free throws coming for Reese Kaplinger. He's 8 of 19 on freebies this year. 7-point lead for Pendleton. And the second quarter has been kind to the Arabians, no doubt.
For a kid that shoots about 45%, that one looked really good. Good arc, good backspin, nice and smooth.
And a 2 of 2 trip. So he's now made 10 free throws on the year.
Somebody's been working on their free throws.
Johnny Howard into the game, by the way, for Shenandoah, 21 in Navy. Howard was injured earlier in the year.
Yeah, when we saw him earlier in the year, he had his arm in a sling. Obviously, that has healed.
And good for Shenandoah. I mean, that was a team that needed bodies.
Well, and he's Dontrez Braxton for them.
Yeah.
He runs the show.
And he tries a 3 off the front side of the rim. Braxton running, big line drive pass to the corner, saved. They get it to Demick. And Demick pulls up, long 2, And that finishes home. Maybe A.J. Demick seeing one go in on a normal shot, that is.
Right.
Can get him going. Tipped away. Active hands for Shenandoah. Cannon Case.
Putting that 6'5" frame to work there.
With just 2 to go here in the first half. Brendan King, Jim Leisure. Both teams, yep.
Braxton being coached up there by Coach Ballard again. He kind of came off, honestly, he looked like he was breathing kind of heavy, and maybe Coach Ballard recognized that and thought, you know what, let's just go ahead and get him a rest here.
Landon Reddick, 33 in Navy. That pass just grazed over his head to Gustin. Now the 3 by Mozingo is missed. At the baseline, back to Gustin it goes. Here he comes. And he got fouled at around the elbow. Foul on Mitchell.
So a handful of players with 2 fouls that I have. Mitchell has 2, Brookbank with 2, Cookston for 2 for Pendleton. Certainly would not like to pick up your 3rd before the half.
They try Mozingo again, in and out. 3-point shooting on both sides has gone pretty cold.
Well, you live and you die by it, at every level.
Landon Reddick had to spin around, got it to Case in the corner. Demick is wide open. A.J. Demick has hit back-to-back shots.
Shenandoah clawing back into it.
Back to 4. And a turnover. So Shenandoah gets a 3 and a stop, Jim. And that's with just 78 seconds to play in the first half.
I'm not surprised that they're bringing Mitchell out of the ball game again for what I just
Smart.
said. You just don't want him to get his 3rd foul. You'd watch the replay there.
Well, plus the fact that you have Johnny Howard available, that can give you some play off your bench.
Absolutely.
When you don't have to just play 6 or 7 guys. So can the Raiders close the first half strong? Demick for Reddick. 3 missed. Gustin flies up for the rebound. Now in the direction of Kaplinger, staying with Pendleton Heights. Smart play by Reese Kaplinger. It was going out of bounds all day, Jim, and Kaplinger, he had the wherewithal to throw it off a Raider. And under a minute to go here in the second quarter. Pendleton the inbound to Gustin. Size mismatch with Demick on him here. Wilson hit one earlier. That one short. Demick. Gustin picked it up off the hardwood. Kaplinger fouled. And back to the line he goes.
That inbounds play there, I really thought Isaac Wilson, number 4 for Pendleton, who was taking the ball out of bounds. Number 10, Case had his back to him, and I really thought he was going to throw it off his back, step in, and then shoot the layup. I've seen kids do that before. And he thought about it. He saw it. He just didn't do it.
Well, Kaplinger, who made the pair a moment ago, that one was missed. Hagan Tomlinson back in. And here's Braxton, too. We'll see if that ended up being a smart sub, Jim, with what Adam Ballard did, taking Braxton out for a moment. That's a big 2 misses, by the way, from Kaplinger, but Braxton now in a little bit more fresh to close the final 40.
Jared Hellman with his 7th rebound.
He's got the ball here. And a turnover.
Just do it right to him. And again, it's just the length. They probably haven't played a lot of people who are as tall with the long arms as Josiah. And so that pass goes through, 8 games out of 10, but not tonight.
And I'm sure Pendleton has no problem in killing the final 15 seconds. But a double team, it got to Augustin at the top of the key as he fired that one off the glass, missed it, but Shenandoah's going to bow him out with the foul.
And then bail him out is exactly right because he was a little bit out of control. But you know what, again, got to give the kid credit. Josiah says, you know what, I'm going to go to the rim. I'm either going to get fouled or I'm going to finish at the rim. And, if you become a good free throw shooter, and he's not bad. He's 71%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as I say that, he misses. But, you can get 6 or 8 points a night from the line.
Well, that's 3 straight free throw misses from Pendleton Heights. And Shenandoah will take that because this could be much more right now if the last few free throws have gone down. Gustin splits the pair. And Shenandoah's got 11 seconds, so a little bit more time than the last shot of the first quarter, where A.J. Demick made the long one beyond half court. But just 3 seconds here. Mitchell has to put it up, and Mitchell missed it. Put back won't matter. So it goes down as a 4-point lead for Pendleton Heights in a pretty good first half, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. 22-18, 4-point ball game, about where we thought it would be. You know, again, these aren't two necessarily great teams, but they're two evenly matched teams. Thought it might be a competitive game. So far it has been.
What do you think about the difference between how the game was called foul-wise between the first and second half?
Well, again, I think the officials didn't have a lot to call in the first half because, again, everyone was being nice and slow half-court offense. That second quarter, though, was more run and gun, take it to the rim, you know, good defense, people bumping. They're just blowing the whistles. When they're there, they blow the whistles. If you're playing slow, they're not going to blow.
4-point game at half. We'll come back with the third and the fourth after halftime next on 9 Star TV.
My name is Patty Potty, and I'd like to talk to you about all those kinds of convenience products. People are flushing down the toilet, clogging up our sewer system, and causing expensive repair bills. They might flush down, but they sure don't flush out. Make sure you trash them. Don't flush them, only flush the 3 P's. Pee, poo, and paper. Toilet paper, that is. And remember, no wipes in those pipes.
This important message was brought to you by 9 Star Connect, your water and sewer provider.
Welcome back to Pendleton Heights. It's the Arabians and the Shenandoah Raiders in a battle before we close the regular season, before the pairing show this weekend, and ultimately the IHSAA Boys Basketball State Tournament. Brendan King, Jim Leisure, 23-18 is your halftime score. It's good to have you with us. Jim, your story of the first half was what?
Well, offensively, or I guess for Shenandoah, Jared Hellman has 7 rebounds, and there was at least 2 or 3 of those that were offensive boards that kept possessions alive, helping them get on the board. And for Pendleton, it's just Josiah Gustin. He's got 7 rebounds, 12 points, 2 blocks, and a massive dunk. So, you were talking a little bit about the pairing show, and it's going to be huge for Pendleton because Shenandoah is in a sectional 41. Northeastern, which is just north of Richmond, and Knightstown are both 2 pretty good teams. I would assume Northeastern's probably the favorite in there, but Shenandoah can compete. Pendleton Heights, on the other hand, unfortunately, is in a sectional with 2 or 3 teams that are having the best season in school history. Greenfield Central's 19-1, New Pal's 18-2. Muncie Central, Mount Vernon, and Richmond all have 13 wins. So a tough road for Pendleton. Honestly, it might be best for them if they could get that bye. Have a little bit more time to prepare and get healthy. As Braxton is a kid that's still kind of gimpy. That's probably their best shot to go a long way.
Jim, one of the things that stood out, especially about Shenandoah early, was their ability to grab offensive rebounds, and that's saying something because Josiah Gustin's the biggest player on the floor at 6'7", yet Shenandoah is out rebounding Pendleton Heights early. Can that continue into the second half?
Yeah, I think it can. I mean, again, Pendleton Heights has got the height advantage, but a lot of times rebounds are 2 things. It's hustle, and it's really being able to see the angle of the ball as it's approaching the rim and figuring out where it's going to go. And that's how guards get rebounds a lot of times. They're not in there battling, right? But they see the angle of the shot, and they realize it's going to go long, and they try to beat it to the spot. Or they see the angle of the shot, they realize it's going to go short, they beat it to that spot. So, rebounds can be a funny thing. Again, you got Jared Hellman at 6'2", freshman, and he leads the team in rebounds. That's just, again, angles and knowledge of where the ball's coming off the rim.
Pendleton Heights, they will have the ball first out of the second half. Brendan King, Jim Leisure, our terrific 9-Star TV crew. Sit back, enjoy this one. We had an exciting packed first half between these two. And to start the second, it's Evan Mozingo converting on a 3. He had missed all of his shots in the first half and gets one to ring home here to begin the third quarter.
Yeah, he averages about 11.7, so he's getting untracked. And if he gets hot, again, that could change things dramatically for Pendleton as well.
End of the first quarter, we had a Josiah Gustin dunk. Then we had a A.J. Demick more than a half-court shot. Drop home. And this is Demick.
See Shenandoah being very patient, not really attacking the rim, as Mitchell does there a little bit, but then he dribbles it back out.
It's almost airtight at times. There goes Braden Cannons flying, by the way.
Yeah,
give it against Cannons.
Cannons there, yeah. I don't know, whatever. I wouldn't have called nothing. I wouldn't have called nothing. I would have called a travel right there. That's what I called.
And at the baseline, well, there you go. Law of averages. Pendleton Heights gets the ball back.
Yep.
And a cross-court pass underneath. Nice snag, by the way, by Cookston. And Cookston will go to the line.
We're getting Hellman for his first. We'll probably get a good look at it on the replay. From here, it looked like a lot of basketball. We're going to get a good shot of it here underneath the rim to see whether or not there was some body contact. Yep, body.
Aaron Cookston, the 6'2 junior, 76% from the line this year.
Very flat shot. That thing had 0 arc on it. And you see a lot of kids shoot it that way. I like to have it a little bit softer and then just try to go right over the front of the rim, and that way if you're a little short, it bounces right in the middle square, drops into the bucket.
Cookston splits the pair. Largest lead right now for Pendleton Heights, by the way, at 9. And Gustin ends up meeting Johnny Howard. Jump ball. And possession arrow favors the Raiders.
Nice job again when you have Gustin out at the top of this. Now it kind of looks almost like a man-to-man, but he's just so long with those arms. He just deflected that pass.
Couple turnovers on inbounds for Shenandoah over the last couple minutes. And that's to open the second half, by the way. Energy is on Pendleton's side for sure. Gustin's three. He's 2 for 2 from deep tonight.
You know, you hear people say all the time about length, and I know it's a different sport, but you know that wingspan. You know, there's a young man who plays for Ohio State as an offensive tackle. Yet another deflection by Gustin. He got a little too much of the body on him there, but it's like 9.5 feet. The kid's name is Brown. He's from Ben Davis. Played collegially at Ohio State, but he was a great basketball player too. He was on a Ben Davis team that I don't think won the state, but may have gotten there. And Gustin's not quite that long, but again, it's huge. I mean, when you have that arm span like that, teams aren't used to it.
Well, Gustin, 6'7". Brookbank tries to answer his own three, was airborne. But, you know, Gustin is he's only a junior. He's going to get looks. And whether he wants to play in college or not is his choice. Another foul, but 6'7". Jim, I'll tell you what, that's what college coaches absolutely crave. A stretch 6'7" kid that can block shots and make deep, long shots. Absolutely.
That's exactly right. I mean, he's just so versatile. He can play 2 or 3 different positions. He can defend at 2 or 3 different positions. And you're right. I mean, I'm sure that young man wants to play college basketball. You can just see the passion with which he plays, and I mean that's what he wants to do.
Cookston is back at the line. And now the Arabians are really starting to put their fingerprint on this one.
Well, and if you're Coach Ellsworth, you may want to go ahead and take a timeout and calm your kids down, reset them. Obviously, this is not what you talked about at halftime.
Brookbank, right edge. And now Howard at the baseline has to spin and go away. Airtight by Pendleton Heights with how they have defended tonight.
And this is straight man here. This isn't the matchup zone, kind of looked like man earlier.
And again, kind of a bailout, Jim.
Yep.
On the foul, that's going to go against Canitz. That's his second.
Now you're going to see it here. He just kind of swats at it right there from behind. And
nice cut by Brookbank, and there's a much-needed bucket for Shenandoah. They're down by 12.
Brookbank's 4th point of the night.
Cannon Cook started the game 2 in white. He's played minimal minutes, though, in the grand scheme of things. That's because Dontrez Braxton's back healthy, and Josiah Gustin continues to attack the lane.
Yeah, you know, and he actually, the ball was basically blocked for a second, and he just physicaled his way through that. He basically pushed through that blocked shot and was able to finish really nice. He's had it, again, this is the game. Now, college coaches don't want one game. They want all of them. But
well, I'll tell you what, if Gustin can replicate this type of effort in the tournament, Pendleton Heights is going to have a chance to win a game or two. And maybe more, who knows? Yeah. Shenandoah is going to need some buckets pretty rapidly here as we creep towards 4 minutes remaining in the third quarter. This corner three is missed. That one from Cannon Case. Rebound back to Pendleton. Gustin, finger roll. Josiah Gustin, it has been his show to start the third quarter, and Jim, Pendleton Heights up 16.
Yeah, again, the timeout was called by Coach Ellsworth. Probably, again, I would have maybe called it a little bit sooner. I have Josiah with, 19. No answer. We talked about it in the pregame of this thing. He had an opportunity with nobody really on to defend him to have a huge night, and a huge night he is having.
Jim, right now, is it more so about what Pendleton Heights is doing or really how Shenandoah has come out for the third quarter?
It's both. I think that, unfortunately, the Raiders have come out a little bit flat and a little bit almost unsure of what they want to do offensively. That's why I said I would have called timeout earlier to remind him, hey, guys, we didn't talk about this. We didn't talk about just standing around and watching people beat the ball into the ground. All right, so, let's go back to doing, get your board out, draw things up, but it's really just been too – Pendleton has kind of feels that a little bit, that old, the shark that smells or tastes blood, and they're just attacking.
Pendleton Heights in action next, just a couple days from now. They'll get Eastern Hancock on Tuesday. Shenandoah will face off with Wapahani. That's next Friday.
No rest there.
No
Eastern
rest.
Hancock's awfully good, and Coach Spaulding at Eastern, intentionally scheduled up this year because he knew his team, with his 2 twin sons leading the way, were going to be awfully, awfully good as Pendleton Heights comes out in full court press here. But we'll see if they stay in there or walk it out. They're going to walk it out. But Wapahani, I believe, is 18-1. So, I mean, man.
Well, we saw Eastern Hancock about a month ago together on this network, and, boy, the Spalding twins, efficient for sure. Hellman couldn't hit the 3, got his own rebound, though. And Hellman, Jim, I'll have to check your stat sheet. I mean, he's going to be in double-double range if he's able to score some points here in the second half.
Yeah, I have him for 8. I normally miss 1 or 2. It seems like trying to score the game and evaluate it as well.
Demick pulls for 3, and Shenandoah is going to need one of those to go down. That's a foul on Hellman, and Pendleton gets the ball back.
But again, it's Hellman going to the rim and coming off, just realizing that shot was going to be a little bit short, and he just attacked. All right, now he got called, and he was a little bit out of control. But, man, I'll tell you what, he's a rebounding fool.
And a rare turnover here in the second half by the Arabians. A couple bodies go flying. Brookbank steps into a 3. And here comes Gustin with some speed. Gustin into the lane, drop off. And he'll try a third 3 tonight, and the first one missed. Good-looking shot by Josiah Gustin. I'll tell you what, Jim, I've not seen Gustin play. It's been 2 years, but he takes that 3 now a lot more confidently than when he was younger.
Yeah, he's just gotten more and more confident and better every year, and I believe that puts him in the double-double category for points and rebounds, that board right there.
That's with 2 and change to go in the third quarter.
Yeah.
A little runner by the Arabians was missed. That was by Cookston.
Hellman with his 9th.
Brookbank to the corner. Good passing, Shenandoah. Demick off the front side of the rim. And it looked like A.J. Demick was really getting rolling. He made back-to-back shots late in the first half. Offensive foul. But Demick is cooled off again just a little bit.
Yeah, let's see what they called on. Knitz, 21?
If so, that's his third.
Yep. See, Mitchell gets down there and kind of gets set.
Whole wealth of changes on Shenandoah's side. Hagan Tomlinson is back in. Cooper Davis is getting his first minutes. 40 in Navy, who's got the ball there. And then Landon Reddick, who played a minimal role in that first half. He's also back in the game. Reddick's got the ball here. Hellman, top of the key 3. Boy, against Shenandoah, they're getting shots, Jim. He's unable to make them right now.
Yep, you got to knock him down.
Guess who's back as well? Dantes Braxton. Braxton playing a bench role, and that's spooky if you're somebody defending him. Pretty pass by Gustin. Ended up with Cookston. And was able to nail it off the glass.
He's just doing everything. Again, like you said, great job of looking down. He got the ball basically on the free throw line, looked down, found a wide open teammate. Just doing everything tonight. Assist, blocks, outside shots, inside shots, running shots, free throws. He's doing everything.
Kenyon Troxel returning to the game for Shenandoah. And Gustin on an alley-oop. The feed from Braxton.
Yeah, I started to say there, Braxton got the steal technically, but it was Gustin who knocked it away. And then again, the basketball gods feeling like they ought to reward him in some way. Gave him the dunk.
Cooper Davis.
You had a feeling that was going to happen.
Anyway,
he was doing the shot fakes things, and I'm thinking, don't do it, don't do it. And he did it, and Gustin put it in the second row.
It has been the Josiah Gustin Show. Check this out coming into your living room.
And, as impressive as that was, and it was, that block shot down on the other end was pretty impressive, too.
Feel for Cooper Davis, his first shot. For Cooper Davis, that was only his second shot attempt of the year.
Yeah, and again, it was just ill-advised. I mean, you got to understand, honestly, who you are and where you are. You're giving away about 6 or 7 inches to a kid. You're right underneath. You're really kind of almost under the basket, not even beside it. That would have been a difficult shot for anybody. But with Gustin standing there, it's impossible.
This was a 5-point game at halftime. It's turned into a 20-piece for Pendleton Heights. And against a hot Shenandoah team, by the way. I mean, the Raiders have won 4 of their last 5. Pendleton Heights has been up and down. The Arabians have come to play on a Friday night for sure.
Yeah, if you just look at the records and you see, Pendleton at 6-15 and Shenandoah at basically 500, you think, well, Shenandoah's probably the favorite. But again, Pendleton's plays the 24th most difficult schedule in the state of Indiana. I think there's about 420 teams that play basketball, and their schedule is ranked as the 24th toughest. I mean, that's almost Mick Hoosier Crossroads type schedules.
20 to go here in the third quarter. Shenandoah's got the basketball. More aggressive D coming from Pendleton Heights. Almost restless at times with how they attack them.
Yeah, again, they're feeling it. They know they've got them on the ropes, and they're just going to press it.
With 3 to shoot, and a tough shot is rang down by Johnny Howard. Extra 2 points for Shenandoah going into the third quarter timeout, but that quarter certainly belonged to the Arabians. They're up 18 as we go to the fourth.
Who knew that 9-Star Connect, a local smart utility, has the fastest internet in Indiana? 9-Star offers speeds up to 2 gig. That's upload and download speeds. Try getting that from any other provider. No data limits or caps on speed. The speed you pay for is the speed you get. 9-Star has state-of-the-art fiber optics with a dedicated line to each house. 9-Star Connect, Indiana's fastest internet. Who knew?
Welcome back for the fourth from Pendleton Heights. By the way, make sure you tune in. That'll be a good game. Muncie Central, Newcastle. The very talented Kurt Darling with our own Jim Leisure.
In the world's largest high school basketball arena again, with the reintroduction of the temporary seating that had been taken down and infuriated the folks in Seymour enough that they went out and counted all their seats and claimed they had more, and Newcastle said, you know what, well, watch this. We'll put the temporary seats back up. Now, nobody's going to sit at them until probably, I think they host a regional.
They do.
It might fill in. I know in the old days, years ago, in 1980, my high school won the sectional and made it to the Newcastle regional, and it was sold out. There was not a ticket to be had.
I'll tell you what, the regional sites, talking with Paul Neidig, great commissioner of the IHSAA, I mean, you get the Hatchet House, you get Newcastle, all these historical gyms across the state, and then even more so, I mean, the things that are changing, Jim. Regional is no longer 2 games in one day. That's now semi-state, so it's going to be a different look.
I like that, though. I like the change.
To open the fourth quarter, Josiah Gustin turns it over. Shenandoah gets an early stop, but they're going to need a lot of those and a whole lot of buckets. They're down 18.
Yeah, this is that puncher's chance. They have a chance.
Here comes Johnny Howard. He had a shot to end the third, opens the fourth with a 2, and the freshman has played well here in the second half. Almost another Pendleton turnover. And there it is. Or not. Down to the floor. Calling a jump ball. Possession arrow favors Shenandoah.
And they'll go ahead and, I think, call the jump ball, then they'll grant the timeout. Yeah.
I didn't even see they called one.
Yeah. Coach Ballard, I think, was hoping his kid would come up with it. He goes ahead and calls the timeout. As it were, ends up being a tied-up ball. So alternating possession. He was hoping his kid would come up with the basketball. It would be Pendleton ball, timeout, no jump ball, no alternating possession. But it didn't work that way.
Jim, let's talk about it. Third quarter for Pendleton Heights. The highlight plays from Josiah Gustin are one thing, but what did they do in particular, especially defensively, to really own that third?
Again, you talked about it a little bit. They were so aggressive. I mean, they came out and got the basketball. We talked about how in the first quarter both teams were kind of basically content with just half court, kind of dribbling it, someone run, screening, there's a guy open, throw it over there. Well, when the defense is all up in your face, you can't do that. You're forced to do something with the basketball, and that's what Pendleton did. They truly just amped up the pressure and, forced Shenandoah to move the ball, and Shenandoah didn't move it very well.
Out of the timeout. It's a pretty nice touch by the Pendleton band. Some jaws just in front of them before the inbound comes straight to him. Actually, Pendleton's going to get the basketball.
Well, the alternating possession, they must have been their way then.
Crazy pass. It wound up for an open three for Mozingo. Missed. Mozingo has hit 1-3. And really, you think about it, Shenandoah has done a terrific job on a guy that averages double-digit points, but they're still down double digits.
Well, good teams, if you shut down the one guy, they'll find the other guy.
There's a three for Johnny Howard. He's got 7 points in the last 2 minutes.
And again, he was a young man that was injured earlier in the year. Not sure why Gustin just dribbled once and stopped. That's generally a recipe for disaster. If you're going to dribble, have a purpose. Go somewhere, do something. Don't just put it on the floor, pick it up, and get trapped.
Suddenly, the Shenandoah defense has came back to life.
Without question, very aggressive, kicking it out.
But another open three, and Mozingo can't leave him open. He's got 6. 44% from deep, wide open.
Just a matter of time. Shooters just keep shooting, and eventually they get untracked.
And Mozingo has joined that fraternity. Think of the Dunham brothers, guys that have shot the lights out in this gym. And Shenandoah turns it over. So the Raiders, who had a really nice swing there, gave up a 3 and then turned it over.
Yeah, 3 seconds. I tell you what, I don't know that I've seen that called all year long.
It's been a long time since I saw that.
I wasn't even sure it was a rule anymore. I'm kidding. I know it is. But I tell you what, the kids know that. They do a good job of not camping in there. They know where they're at. They know where their feet are.
Mozingo trying for back-to-back. Rebound available, taken. Mozingo. Boy, he got hammered, and the whistle came.
Credit Isaac Wilson for keeping that possession alive there, knocking that ball around and allowing for the offensive rebound. Mozingo can get a little closer to his average of 11-7.
Also a pretty good foul shooter, 81%.
And why is it that when any broadcaster says that?
It's something, isn't it?
Yeah. He's a pretty good shooter and hasn't missed one in 9 years, Clank.
Well, you know where I come from. The great Vin Scully did not believe in curses, and he called over 10 no-hitters.
Yeah.
And he had no problem saying no-hitters.
Okay.
So to me, that's pretty much invincible.
I was going to say, now, on the other hand, if he went down to the dugout and sat next to the pitcher and told him he was pitching a no-hitter, he probably would have got pummeled by the rest of the players.
He would have gotten beaten up.
Yeah.
Especially in the 50s when nobody knew who he was.
Yeah. And back in the 50s when they just throw at you. They didn't care if you, intentional or not. They just throw at you. They didn't care.
5.5 to go in regulation. Cooper Davis on a 3. Rattled in and out. He winds up, though, with the offensive rebound. Johnny Howard has been elite over the last few minutes.
Yeah, Tomlinson, again, kept that one alive just by tipping it up and out. Nice head fake. Nice job.
Wow.
Hagan Tomlinson, nice job just getting Josiah off his feet.
Not easy to do. Gustin, mismatch.
Yeah.
Davis on him. Attacks and got fouled.
Yeah, that did not start or end well for Shenandoah there. Again, giving up about 8 or 9 inches there in height. And Josiah immediately recognized it and said, I'm going to the rim, and there ain't a lot y'all can do about it except foul me.
Almost takes a jump when he shoots free throws. Gets down low with the knees.
Yeah, we talked about just having that complete game that college coaches want to see, and they want to see you be able to hit free throws. They want to see you be able to defend multiple positions.
He goes 1 of 2. Well, yeah, how big have free throws become? Well, free throws are always big in basketball, but especially in the college game. Think about the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
In the dying moments of a ball game. If you go to the line, you're expected to make them. And if you don't,
you sit. You know what? Because I'll find a guy. I got to. I got to find somebody else I can shoot him. If you can't shoot him, then, well, Coach, I do a lot of other things. Well, you may be able to sing and dance, but that don't do you any good at the free throw line. Wilson, he's a tough little rebounder, too. He's got 5.
The other way, Caden Sims and 1. Caden Sims, the junior, who plays minimal minutes. I'm sure the bench is excited about that one.
This is a team that is not going to be an automatic out. And I know there's a lot of really good teams in that sectional 9. But this team has battled through a lot of different things, injuries and losing players and, losing a lot of scoring in the Dunham kid. Pendleton's they're going to battle you. They're going to get after you.
Well, let's say Gustin gets hot. Let's say Mozingo gets hot. And then the role players, we've seen role players on this Pendleton team tonight perform.
Yeah, between Gustin and Mozingo, and then imagine Braxton running that show.
Yeah.
They could get pretty nasty.
Well, it seems as though they're easing Braxton back into the fold, right? And
very smart.
You can only hope that by the time you get to the first round that
because honestly,
he's good to go.
Honestly, this game doesn't mean much to Pendleton. I mean, it'd be nice to get the win, but you're not going to win the conference. And, they're not in your sectional, Shenandoah. So you're trying to win 2 Fridays from now.
Zane Mitchell's at the free throw line. 71% for the freshman from the charity stripe.
If you see both coaches, anytime a player comes off the floor, Coach Ballard, he's got Cookston down there, and Coach Ellsworth's going to call timeout, but he had Tomlinson there. I mean, coach him, right? I mean, the guy I played for, the seat next to our head coach remained empty the whole game because anytime somebody came off the floor, you had to sit next to Coach Rigi. Some days I didn't want to sit next to Coach Rigi because I knew what I'd done wrong. Right? But he felt like that's my job and that's my time to coach you, and that's what I like. Both these coaches, again, neither season has gone, as well as they liked it to. Coach Ellsworth's a little bit closer. I mean, 9-11, that's not too bad. But with Coach Ballard and the 6 and 15. But coaching, man, it's what you get paid to do, and it's the only way you're going to get better.
Jim, let's talk about the Shenandoah team really for the long haul here, because last time we had Shenandoah, we had a conversation about what they had at one point, and this is a very young Raiders team, 2 seniors. They play many freshmen. At times there's 4 freshmen on the court, but Shenandoah has had that before, and they turned that into a pretty magical tournament run. No?
Yeah, no, that's some of that's just 2A basketball. This isn't Carmel, this isn't Ben Davis. You don't have 5,000 kids to choose from, so you're going to mix in some freshmen and sophomores onto your varsity team. What you want to do ideally is just like Shenandoah a couple years ago. They started like 4 freshmen, took their lumps a little bit, and I say that somewhat reluctantly because they won. I mean, they were like 15-6 or 7 or something. It wasn't like they were horrible. And then 3 years later, they're seniors. They go all the way to the regional championship where, unfortunately, they fall. But then you back that up with some young kids, and one of the kids was Brookbank. I think it was a starter, or not a starter, but a contributor on that team. Now we're doing it again. Coach Ellsworth was a disciple of Coach McCullough.
Isaac Wilson misses the runner. The rebound to Kaplinger. No good again.
About 4 minutes to go in the game. I don't know if I'm Coach Ballard. I may want to get Josiah off the field or off the court.
And Cannon Cook nails a 3. His 3rd make from deep this year. I was just thinking the same thing. You're about to be up 20 again. And this might be it for Gustin. And 1.
Lucky he didn't get teed up there because after he got the dunk, he kind of got in Brookbank's face a little bit. I'm sorry, that was Tomlinson. It wasn't egregious as enough. I've seen officials call it. Again, but that's the kind of play, though, that, you can get a kid hurt. Let's say he lands awkwardly and he's coming out. They had a guy at the table right now.
And there it is. Josiah Gustin will go off to a hand. That could probably warrant it.
Well, you know what? I take that back a little bit. I thought he said something. He didn't. He just looked at him, which, again, you can't fault a kid for looking. But I thought maybe he got a little more verbal. So good call by the officials, and more importantly, good control by Gustin. I mean, that's part of being, again, be a smart player. College coach is going to see something. He's going to say, you handled that well. I don't want that hothead kid. I got that kid. I'm already ready to kill that guy. I don't want another one. I don't want to frustrate myself anymore.
Zane Mitchell's back at the free throw line. So Josiah Gustin closes out another spectacular performance with a couple highlight reel plays. And the alley-oop earlier, that big one-handed slam you saw a moment ago.
I got him with 25 and 10 rebounds.
Caden Sims, the drop-off for Kaplinger went away. I'll say this, Jim, as that's swatted away by Shenandoah. I'll say this. I don't want to be the kid defending Josiah Gustin in the tournament.
No.
Do you?
Nope, not at all. Cates with his 2nd block of the night.
A.J. Demick pulls for 3. Offensive rebound to Hellman. Hellman on the putback gets bumped, and Hellman should be right around 10 rebounds too.
He got 11, according to me, and again, it's another offensive board. It's always impressive when guards get boards. but more impressive when they get offensive boards. That kid is a freshman and just has a really, really high basketball IQ. He knows where the ball's coming off the rim.
I'll tell you what, although Pendleton's going to win this game probably by double digits, the offensive rebounding by Shenandoah has been spectacular all night.
And it will pay off eventually. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but they're awfully young. If they continue to crash the offensive boards like this and just, again, continue to get extra possessions in ball games, they're going to hang a lot of points on people.
Under 3 to go here from Pendleton.
There's a huge game in the Hoosier Heritage Conference tonight. The basically top-ranked in the conference, New Palestine Dragon, taking on Mount Vernon Marauders, with Mount Vernon an opportunity to create a log jam and a tie for the conference. New Palestine with the opportunity to win it outright. The last score I got was New Palestine 37, Mount Vernon 28. That was in the second quarter. I'm waiting on an update here. But again, does not affect this game, nor does it affect sectional play, but it does have conference implications.
Well, I'm sure that means a ton to New Pal and Trent Whitaker. He's kind of had the same thing that Shenandoah was presented with, as Howard's 3 drops home. Johnny Howard has had a terrific second half. Yeah, Trent Whitaker built that with very young players. And kind of what you said about Shenandoah earlier, that it's not like New Palestine was bad.
No.
But they had some growing pains.
They did. They took their lumps. I mean, Blaine Nunley's been starting as a freshman, and as has Ian Stevens. And, generally you don't win a lot of games when you start a lot of freshmen.
Another offensive board for Shenandoah, and Mitchell was fouled. Zane Mitchell spent a lot of time at the free throw line tonight. He's another freshman. You think about it, Jim, that you talk 2 years from now.
Yep.
Mitchell, Hellman, Howard, Coffey.
Yeah.
They're only going to be juniors.
Yeah, they're going to be a nice squad.
I'm sure you'll see a lot of their games here on 9 Star as we go.
Of course, our producer, director, John Painter, a Shenandoah grad. He keeps telling me there's a statue of him outside the school, but every time I go there, he says it's out for cleaning. I've never seen it. Just have to take his word for it.
Isaac Wilson, corner 3, and that connects. I'm sure the John Painter statue has a nice head of hair.
Well, and I asked him, I said, was it for academic excellence, athletics? He said everything.
Johnny Howard, that one just off the rim, and Howard goes crashing into the baseline area. 20-point game here from Pendleton. And Josiah Gustin subbed off for the rest of the evening. Save his good stuff for the tourney.
Johnny with an opportunity to, well, he's already got double digits. He got 10. Opportunity to add to that, I guess.
Free throw shooting, maybe one of the only things that he has struggled with in his first year of high school ball. 68% from the line.
And the team shoots 63, so that's something, again, every coach is going to tell these kids, we got to get better there.
Timeout on the floor here with 1:41 to go in the fourth quarter. I'm Brendan King with Jim Leisure. Jim, as we approach tournament time, any memories for yourself about things that stand out, either in playing days or covering days of the tournament?
Well, I wasn't much of a player. I was a 12th man on a pretty bad team. We were 500, so I didn't get into the sectional tournament. We got beat in the sectional championship. I did not play, didn't need to play, frankly. It was a very close game, and the last thing my teammates needed was me in there to muck things up. But I guess, probably my favorite tournament story was when I was a freshman. Our team won the sectional for the first time in about 25 years. We go to Newcastle. The place is packed. We lose the morning game as all of the New Palestine fans are coming out. I know most of them. It's still very much a small community. They gave me all their tickets for the night game. I mean, I had like 50 of them. And so I came back. Me and my friends drove back and ended up just making a mint selling those tickets for the championship game between Muncie Central and Muncie South. Or no, Richmond. I'm sorry, Muncie Central and Richmond.
What'd you spend the money on?
I'm sure baseball cards. But Muncie Central was at a guy named Rick Rowway, who ended up going to IU and then eventually transferring back to Ball State. But Roway was quite a player. I do remember the draw. And, when you talk to people from other states and they tell you that we actually televised the draw, they're like, what?
Right.
You do what? People watch this? I'm like, yeah, of course people watch this.
People go crazy about it.
Yeah, I can remember as a kid that was a big deal. I mean, my dad and I would sit down and we'd listen to it on the radio. But, then when we, in the early 70s, we got television and we would watch it on TV. It was a big deal.
What was that, WIBC, I'm sure?
Probably WTTV Channel 4 back then. Channel 4 was the kind of local. I think they were out of Bloomington and Indianapolis, and they were not one of the networks. Channel 6 was ABC, Channel 8 was CBS, and Channel 13 was NBC. So Channel 4, WTTV, was the local kind of affiliate. And they did a lot of IU basketball, a lot of Purdue basketball, and a handful of high school sports.
All the coverage you see now, especially from the IHSAA on the Champions Network, they will be busy as going crashing into one of the cameras. That was Joe Estes. Estes played a good majority of the JV game, by the way. Now he's in varsity.
Yeah, it's good to get some minutes. And, Carson Brookbank, I don't think meant to foul him that hard. He was the first one over there to help him up. And no hard feelings. You're going to see it right here. I mean, he gets him good. I mean, this is a, pretty nice shove in the back. But you can see Carson be right there to be the first guy to pick him up.
Estes was at the free throw line a whole bunch in the JV game. That's his first miss at the varsity level this year from the charity stripe.
Yeah, Coach Ellsworth actually looked up and said, wait a minute, why is Brookbank still in the game? Get him out of there before he breaks his leg. Again, this is not about this ball game or a minute 16. This is about making a little noise in the sectional. That sectional is winnable. Northeastern, Brent Brown is the coach there, does a fantastic job with those guys. And I've been able to call several of their ball games down through the years. They're probably the favorite. But Coach Ellsworth hopefully is going to try to compete in sectional 41.
Howard, the little pull-up J from the baseline was missed. Going over the reserves that have come in. Keaton Jones, 10 in white, comes in for the Arabians. We mentioned Joe Estes. Then for Shenandoah, Coy Price, Evan Fries, as well as Maddox Davis.
Yeah, this has definitely turned into a JV game, as a lot of times in football that'll happen in four-quarter games as well. Gets a little sloppy and sometimes gets a little physical because kids are trying so hard to try to impress the coach and say, hey, listen, I can play at this level. And you'll see bodies crashing into each other. And again, you just hope that nobody gets hurt.
Aiden Coffey as well is in. Landon Reddick returns to the game. And at the free throw line, this is Hunter Suchna. Suchna has had a few minutes at the varsity level this year. That's his first free throw. Under a minute to go.
Yeah, I believe when Johnny Howard was injured, he got in some of those minutes. He got some of that point guard action.
Turnaround shot by Landon Reddick. Finishes away.
Very nicely done. A little update on New Pal C Mount Vernon. It's New Pal 57, Mount Vernon 46 in the fourth. So 11-point lead, but, again, two teams that honestly, they're just huge rivals, don't like each other. New Pal's red and white, and Mount Vernon's black and gold, so there's a whole IU Purdue thing going there. Two schools about 8-10 miles apart. And I know it's an absolute cliche, but it's true. Throw out the records. 11 points is nothing.
Yeah.
You got to win. You got to make sure you're on the bus and you're heading home before you know for sure you've won the game.
Down to the last seconds of this one, Pendleton Heights is going to earn win number 7 on the year. Shenandoah falls to 9-12. This was only a 4-point game at halftime. Now, Pendleton Heights runs away with a monstrous win. 21 points is the winning margin. Jim Leisure, why were the Arabians able to run away with it?
Too much Josiah Gustin. No answer on Shenandoah's side as far as defensively for Josiah. And then again, Pendleton just really cranked up the defensive pressure. Shenandoah's had trouble. They turning the basketball over. They average about 17 turnovers a night for the year. Coach Ballard knows that they don't handle it well and said, listen, we're going to make them handle it. And if they don't, we're going to be on the receiving end of that. And they were.
Well, the pairing show is on the way. It's time for tournament season. We appreciate you being with us on 9 Star TV. For my broadcast partner, Jim Leisure, our spectacular crew on hand, Brendan King, wishing you a fond farewell. We will talk to you soon. Enjoy the tournament. So long.